Hello everyone, welcome to episode 29 of Knittings and Sewings, a podcast about knitting, sewing, spinning, weaving, dyeing, crochet, all kinds of different fiber arts. If you are new here, welcome to my channel, and if you're returning, welcome back. The first thing I want to say is we are broadcasting today outside on my deck. And we're finally getting some really nice weather. It's been raining almost every day. So this is a break in our different rain showers we have. One thing that we anticipate coming soon, but I haven't seen yet, are the cicada. We're supposed to have two different groupings, and I'm going to show my earring here. Maybe Bob can do a close-up. But I have cicada earrings on today because we're going to be soon getting two different rounds of cicada invasions, I understand, here in the Kansas City area. And I don't know if everyone will be getting these, but I do know that it will be coming. So I'm in honor of the cicadas. I always, as a child, loved to hear the sound of cicadas in the summer. And to me, that just spelled summer. So in honor of that, I am wearing my cicada earrings. So let's go ahead and get started talking about the projects. So, first on our agenda this evening is going to be talking about a project that we cut off the loom last time here on the deck, when we were sitting on the deck. And at that time, I was just cutting it off in front of you, and I want to just show you that I did finish it up off camera. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we needed to do to finish the project. This is a rigid heddle loom spring table runner that I made on my 24-inch Kromsky Harp loom. Normally, as you know, I make wearable items for the most part. I don't do a lot of household items, but this is one where I had a real desire to get started on my rigid heddle loom that I had repurchased from my friend Kay, and I wanted to make something for the house. And so this is what I made. It's a very freestyle, as you can tell, project. And I decided that I wanted fringed ends at the end. These are called twisted fringe. And so I just want to talk briefly about what was involved once I took this project off the loom. And if you want to see me cutting off the project off the loom, you can go back to episode 28 and you can find that process there. But what was left to do was to weave in some ends in the back. There were a few stray yarns that, I had ended up with at the back. Kind of like when you knit, you have to weave in a few ends. This doesn't have a lot of ends to weave in because I knitted the ends largely into the next row of the project. Not knitted, sorry, wove. However, there were a few. So I did that. And then the next step was to twist the fringes. And you can do this either by hand, just by twisting the 4 strands of yarn. I picked 4 strands of one and 4 strands next to it, twisted them in the same direction, then tied them on the end and let them spring back so it made a twisted fringe. You can also buy a twister for this purpose for about $20. And I do have a purchased one that I can use, but oftentimes I don't mind the process of just hand twisting myself. And so I did this, probably took 1 or 2 evenings in front of the TV, or 1 or 2 shows, and I was able to get the ends twisted. So I was really happy with how this project turned out. It had the whimsical spring look that I wanted in a spring table runner, and in fact, I liked it so well. It's 65 inches long, finished. Originally, to let you know an idea of the shrinkage, because I did hand wash and block it. Block just means lay it out. But I hand washed it in a sink of sudsy wool water, and then I towel dried it very carefully. Did not just rolled it up in a towel, got the excess moisture out, and then let it dry. But it started off as 17 inches on the loom originally, the warp, when it was first warped, and I wove, by hem stitching on either end, I wove a total of 77 inches, and it ended up shrinking down to 65 in length. And the width that was 17 inches ended up also shrinking down to about 14 and a half inches across. So that was fine. That was a good size for my table, the table that I have. I ended up liking this so well that I feel silly, but now I kind of wish I had warped on even more to make some placemats, because I used this for the first time the other night having a guest over for dinner, and I started wishing I had matching placemats. So I may do that another time. The only disadvantage of a rigid heddle loom is the fact that you have limited yardage that you can warp, because it'll only comfortably hold, I'm not sure what the limit is, but you can't warp like 12 yards. I don't believe you can. I've never been able to. So this started off as a 3-yard warp. 3 or 4 yards, I forgot what, but it wasn't a very large warp. And so I didn't have a ton left over by the time I finished up weaving, but I could warp again and make some placemats, and that may very well be what I end up doing, because I really like the project. So that is my first rigid heddle project in quite some time, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The next project on this loom, it might be the placemats, that's possible, or I'm really thinking, the reason what I was planning originally after this project was to warp up some natural dyed yarns that I dyed back in 2020 and 2021 when we had the pandemic going on. It was primarily during 2020. And in the past, I have shown you in a previous episode, I had made a whole tunic out of my natural dyed yarns that I did that summer. And I can refer you back to that episode if you would like to see more about how I did that and the details of how I did it. But I not only dyed the yarn myself, I didn't spin it, but I dyed it. And there was some hand spun yarn incorporated into the fabric. But for the most part, I dyed the yarn with natural dyes, and then I designed and sewed the tunic myself. So what I would like to do on my next project with that same loom is to make a skirt. Take some of the natural dyed yarns that I still have left from that period when I did the natural dyeing. I'm getting in the mood again to do it again. So I would like to take the yarn that I already have finished and make up a skirt project on my rigid heddle loom. So that's my goal, I believe, for this summer. We'll see how that works out. I'll let you know next time. One thing that I talked about wanting to do when we were in the last episode, I was talking about the fact that I've been really wanting to make some summer tops, make some cool summer tops. And so I showed you some pictures of possible blouses I want to make out of the Knitting Light book by Marie Green. And I intend to do those eventually, but right now I want a really very easy to make and fast to make summer top. And so I decided that I would make a top that is from Hobbii yarn. Hobbii. I think they pronounce this Hobbii. I say Hobbii. But it's that online yarn company out of the Netherlands. And what I decided was most calling my name as a summer project is this, and I'll try to put up a better picture, but it's a lacy backed simple cotton top, and this is a free pattern from Hobbii. So even if you don't use their yarn, you can download the pattern, but I think their yarn is delightful, and I want to start by talking about that. I am using, this is the yarn I'm using. It's beautiful. If you can see a little bit up close, you can see the chaining on the ply of this is just beautiful. It's a 2-ply cotton silk yarn that is called Friends Cotton Silk. It's affordable, very easy to use. It's, 200, see how many yards we have here. No, 131 yards. It is 78% cotton and 22% silk. I really love this yarn, and I intend to use it a lot in the future. This is the lavender colorway, and so I'm really excited. Lavender is a wonderful color for me to wear during the summer. It's one that really appeals to me. So that is the yarn I'm using. Now I'm going to show you the progress I've made so far. I just started this right at the beginning of May, and I'm going to show you where I'm at now. As you can see, there is a lace panel, a 27 stitch lace panel in the center of the back. So this will be the back. And then around the front, it's a V-neck. Right now I'm still at the stage I'm on row 41. And so right now I'm still at the part where you're knitting flat. But soon I'm going to be, I think it's around row 59, I'm going to be putting this together and knitting in a circle once I am ready to get the sleeves off and separate for the sleeves. But at this point, I'm really enjoying the project. It's a fun project. I think I'm going to really like the result, and the yarn is going to be so smushy and comfortable and cool. So this is a fun, exciting project. And I don't know if you have started on any summer projects yourself yet, but I like this cotton because it's not at all like your washcloth feeling cotton. I used to not want to make summer tops because I felt they were just kind of scratchy, and I felt like I'd be wearing a big washcloth. But this is not at all like that. It's a very soft, smushy, and comfortable yarn to use. So I would highly suggest you try this. They also have it in a variegated, but I didn't want to use variegated on a lace project. Now, there are a few things I do want to mention and talk about with this pattern, and because I think if I tell you about them in advance, especially if you're a newer lace knitter, it might be helpful to know. There are several things about starting at the beginning, and I actually have to admit that I restarted this. I consider myself a fairly experienced knitter, but when I first started this project, Bob and I were driving back from St. Louis, and I will say that it's a well-written pattern in terms of, now it's a well-designed pattern, but I feel like the way the pattern is organized is a little bit confusing, or it was to me. But I did end up figuring it out by just casting on and putting my stitch markers in and get started working on it. And I did later clarify some of the directions with Hobbii. They were very kind to answer some of my questions, and so I was able to confirm that what I figured out was correct. But let me just tell you a few things that I think are important in case you do decide to work on this pattern, regardless of what yarn you use. First of all, at the beginning, up until around row 59, you're going to be knitting flat, like I just showed you. And I had to go down 2 needle sizes on this. It was a size 7. I used a size 5 to get gauge because I am a loose knitter. And to get the right fabric, I made 3 different swatches and ended up deciding on size 5 for the body of for the main part. Now, the thing you need to know is that when you are casting on for this, you cast on, and then the first row you knit is a wrong side row. It's a purl row. So for the first, that's where you set up putting your stitches in. You always on this pattern want to knit your first and last stitch as a knit, even if you're on a purl row. And so that's one of the things that I noticed. It's an edge stitch. So that's one thing to know. And then you do need stitch markers marking your raglan. There's on either side of this, I'll show you on here. On either side, there's this raglan stitch. And I've got markers on both sides. The raglan stitch is in the middle between the two. And you're going to be increasing with the make one left and make one right on either side of those markers. And that's what's going to grow to where you get the sleeve big enough for a sleeve and so forth, all the increasing you need to do. In the center is your lace pattern. I found it simplest to put a different marker on those, differentiating it from the markers on the increases for the raglan. And here again on this side I've got my raglan increases, so again I have it marked with the light bulb marker. And then periodically you're also going to increase on the two on either end. You're going to 2 stitches in, you're going to do an increase every now and then. It tells you in the pattern what the increment is. But anyway, what I'm saying is you need to pay attention as you do this pattern. Then once you get to the point where you have made it large enough to pull the sleeves off and separate for the sleeves, then you're going to be combining these and knitting in the round. You're going to be making it circular at that point. So from there on out, I'm assuming I'm going to just knit. I'm not going to do the purls. So the beginning is a little bit fiddly, but really it's not once you get the gist of the pattern. So I highly recommend this design, and I'll let you know more how it goes after I finish it. Hopefully, if I can get busy working on it, I will finish it fairly soon so I can wear it a lot this summer. But I do think it's a design that I am going to get a lot of good use out of, and I'm excited to get it all together like I just said, so I can just do straight knitting. But you do continue the lace pattern in the back all the way. So once you get established with taking off your sleeves and separating those, and you knit the whole thing in a circle, you're still going to be doing this lace pattern on the back. So that is going to continue through the whole project. Tonight I am drinking some wonderful cold brewed tea. What I did was I took, you can take any McDonald's or Quick Trip or any kind of tea that you get at a fast food restaurant. And this particular one I'm drinking right now, I did hand brew this myself here at home. But you can buy pre-made tea at McDonald's or Quick Trip or wherever you buy tea, unsweetened tea, and make it a little extra special by putting in a tea bag, a flavored tea bag, into just soak in there. Doesn't have to be, it can be cold like I have it now, and it will infiltrate the tea with the taste of your flavored tea. And the one that's my favorite is the Lipton Green Tea Mandarin Orange. And I really love this. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. Now I want to talk about spinning, because spinning is something I love to do, especially in the nice weather. I like to sit out on my deck and spin, and tomorrow is going to be the Saturday where my spinning group gets together at the library. Once a month we meet, and we're talking about maybe meeting in a park sometime too, because it's just really relaxing to sit outside and spin. That's my favorite way to spin. But I wanted to mention, I love getting Spin Off magazine, and in fact I love the Long Thread Media Group so much that I actually subscribe to their monthly subscription, and then I have access to all the courses they offer online, as well as a physical subscription to Spin Off and Hand Woven and all of their magazines. Little Loom is another one of my favorites, and then I also have access again to the online content. But I really liked this particular month in Spin Off because it's talking about all the different forms of fiber prep. It's talking about carding. It's talking about spinning. If you want to spin with, a hand-painted braid. It's a little bit of a different take. You can do the fractal spinning like we've talked about before. Many of you have tried fractal spinning, perhaps, if you're a spinner. But this is giving a little different take on how to make a more neutral-looking yarn out of your hand-painted braid. And then they talk in here about drum carding and, using combs, all kinds of different prep methods. It seems like the topic here this time seems to be fiber prep. And I really like that topic. I think it's one that I, really enjoy, reading about. And another thing I love in here, Shetland is a sheep breed I really love. And they have the most gorgeous shawl in here. Oh my gosh. Now they're talking about altering this to make it, half shawls in the Shetlands are traditionally made in a square. And I've always wondered why they do that, like this, a whole square. But I've always wondered, I like the triangular shawls, and I think they're a lot less work. So I'm always wondering, why do they have to do the whole thing? But there is evidently a link in their online that tells how you can translate that shawl into a triangular if you would rather do a triangular, and that would be way less work. But I love the natural colors that are in this shawl. These are just beautiful colors, and I don't know if that's something I'd ever attempt or not, but boy, it appeals to me a lot. Everything in this issue is really, really appealing to me. So take a look at Spin-Off if you're a spinner, and see what wonderful projects they're talking about and this is the fall 2023 issue. Oh, okay. I must have pulled out an older issue. This isn't this coming fall, this is last fall. Sorry about that. But all of the things that I am wanting to do right now with natural fiber and fleece and that kind of thing is in this magazine. And so this is the fall 2023, not the current magazine. Sorry about that. But I was just going through this, loving so many things that are in this Spin-Off. I think I talked before about how I love to go out to Missouri Town, which is here in our area. And it's a historical it's a historical town that is set in 1855. And so there are cabins and all kinds of historical buildings and those kind of things, trying to teach school children and people about the 1800s. So I, every year, like to go out the first weekend in May with my friend Carolyn, and for 3 years in a row now we've gone out to get fleeces. And what they have there is a BFL cross type of fleece. They have their own sheep that they have that live on the property, and once a year they come out and shear the sheep and sell the fleeces, many of which are white. That's where I got my Camila Fleece that I showed you. I was dyeing and had a bad dyeing experiment 2 episodes ago. And so anyway, but that fleece is one I bought at Missouri Town. So it's a nice, beautiful fleece. And then last year I bought one that I call Bonnie. The other one was Camilla. And now for this year, we were going to go out there last week, but because of the heavy rain that had been happening, they were not able to shear the sheep and have them ready last week. So Carolyn and I are going to take a trip over there tomorrow after our spinning group, and we're going to see about getting a fleece for this year. So I will let you know about what fleece I end up getting. It will probably be that same BFL, and it'll probably be a white fleece because those are the ones that they have the most of. They don't have very many colored fleeces out there. So I will be letting you know next time about what I ended up getting, if I do end up picking one up. I think I will, because it's just such a good deal, and I love the feel of those BFL fleeces that I've purchased in the past. I do want to talk about, if any of you are spinners at all, or have ever been tempted to work with a sheep fleece, I think the Field Guide to Fleece by Deborah Robson and Carol Icarus, E-K-A-R-I-U-S, 100 Sheep Breeds and How to Use Their Fibers. This is, what I like about this book is it has wonderful illustrations of all the different sheep breeds, and it tells you in here some suggested prep as well as a description of the animal. So this is just a really good, quick field guide that I really enjoy using, and it's lightweight. I can carry it in my spinning bag. I use this so much and would recommend it to anybody wanting to learn more about different breeds of sheep. Well, I think this will wrap it up for episode 29. Next time, I'm going to show you hopefully more of my sweater progress on Emmanuel, the sweater I showed you earlier, the lavender one. And hopefully I'll either have made some real progress on it or be close to finishing it. And we'll cover that. And also we'll decide what I'm going to do with my rigid heddle loom. And any other projects or fiber projects that I'm up to, I'll update you on those next time. I hope you are enjoying a wonderful spring and having a chance to get out and spend some time in nature, because that makes me the most relaxed and happy, is to get out and especially do my crafting out in nature. But if you have a chance to sit outside and feel the wind in your hair like I am right now, very gentle, wonderful spring evening, take every opportunity to do that. Till next time, love what you're making and wear what you make.